My ex-girlfriend said to me, "We will still be friends, right? You have always looked out for me," literally 5 minutes after dumping me to reconnect with her true energy. I said sure. Absolutely. What happened next when I showed her what real friendship actually looks like will blow your mind. Turns out Riley had been secretly planning to keep me as her personal ATM and handyman service, even after she didn't want to be with me anymore. When I finally treated her like the independent adult she claimed to be, she completely lost it. And I mean completely. I am Ethan, 31. I run a small home renovation business here in Charleston. Riley is 28 and calls herself a creative consultant, which basically means she posts inspirational quotes on social media. The lifestyle she wants costs way more than what that brings in. But somehow, that became my problem. We had been living together for 8 months in this apartment downtown. I was paying 80% of the rent because I made more money, and I co-signed the lease because her credit wasn't great. Red flag number 1 that I completely ignored. So last month, I come home from a job site and Riley has this whole setup going in our living room. Candles lit, laptop open to meditation music, sitting cross-legged like she is about to deliver some spiritual awakening. She starts with this speech about doing inner work and realizing she has been living in a spiritually stagnant space and needs room to explore her authentic self. I am thinking maybe she wants to take a pottery class. Nope. I think we need to take a break, she says. Then immediately follows with, "But we will still be friends, right? You have always looked out for me, and I know you want what is best for my growth." I am standing there exhausted, trying to process getting dumped via vision board language, but what really got me was how she assumed breaking up wouldn't change anything practical. She wanted to keep the apartment, keep me paying for most of it, keep me fixing her car, keep me helping with her business expenses. She was literally trying to demote me from boyfriend to unpaid personal assistant. When I asked how she would handle rent and bills by herself, she got confused like I was being unnecessarily complicated. Well, we will work it out. You know, I am good for it eventually. Besides, you have always been so generous. That is when she hit me with, "We will still be friends, right? You have always looked out for me." I realized she wasn't asking if we would be friends. She was asking if I had keep being her personal bank account and maintenance service, just without getting anything in return. So I smiled, stayed calm, and said, "Absolutely, Riley. I am always happy to be a friend." She lit up like I had just agreed to fund her early retirement. Started talking about how mature we both were and how healthy this would be. I went to bed that night and made a decision. Riley wanted to find out what friendship actually meant. Real friendship. The kind where people stand on their own feet and support each other as equals. That weekend, while she was at some wellness retreat, I packed up everything that belonged to me, found a small rental house 20 minutes outside the city. Then I spent Sunday handling the practical stuff, called utility companies and transferred everything to Riley's name, contacted internet provider and moved service to my new place, removed my account from autopay for her car insurance and phone bill. Monday morning, I sent her a text. "Hey, just a heads up, I moved out over the weekend. All utilities are transferred to your name now. Hope the creative exploration goes well." The first call came Tuesday afternoon. She had gotten home to find the internet wasn't working and half the lights were out. "Ethan, I think there has been some mistake with the utilities," she said. "No mistake," I told her. "I transferred everything so you could have complete independence. That is what friends do. Right? We help each other become self-sufficient." Long pause. "But how am I supposed to afford all of this by myself?" "I am sure you will figure it out. You are a smart, capable woman. I believe in you." By Thursday, reality was setting in. Rent notice came $1,500. She suddenly had to come up with a loan. Her car started making that transmission noise again. The internet bill she had never seen because it had always been handled automatically. She called me crying that night. "Ethan, I don't know how to handle all of this. I thought when we said we would stay friends, you had still helped me with some things while I get on my feet." That is when I understood. Riley hadn't wanted to break up with me. She had wanted to break up with the relationship while keeping all the benefits. Friends help each other become stronger, I told her. Right now, the most helpful thing I can do is let you prove to yourself how capable you are. So Reddit, am I being petty? Part of me feels like I should help her transition, but another part thinks that would just enable the same pattern that got us here. Update 1. Riley Street started posting on social media about toxic masculinity and men who cannot handle emotionally evolved women. Nothing direct at first. Just passive-aggressive posts about releasing people who cannot support your growth. Our mutual friends started noticing. A couple reached out asking if everything was okay because Riley's posts were getting pretty obvious. But here is where it gets interesting. Riley's roommate Tessa started messaging me privately about apartment stuff. Riley had been telling her I was being financially abusive by cutting her off, and she might not make rent. Tessa is 25, trying to build a photography business. She had been covering more expenses because Riley kept coming up short, so I helped her figure out budgeting and gave her contacts for potential photography work. Just being decent, you know. Through these conversations, I learned what was really going on. Tessa told me Riley had been taking expensive business development courses costing hundreds each, buying camera equipment on credit, even hired a brand strategist for her social media, all while telling me she was working on financial responsibility. But the crazy part, Tessa mentioned Riley talking about some business loan she had gotten for her creative consultancy. This was news to me. That is when my friend Nate called. Nate does accounting, including for my business. Riley had reached out asking for help with complex financial planning related to business debt. During their conversation, she mentioned getting a small business loan with a co-signer. "Who is the co-signer?" Nate asked. "Ethan," she said. "We set it up when we were together." Nate went quiet, then told her he had called back. Then he called me. "Please tell me, you remember co-signing a business loan for Riley?" My stomach dropped. What business loan? Riley had somehow listed me as co-signer on a $5,000 loan 4 months ago. She had used my information from a joint travel booking, my social security number, employment info, even bank details she had access to for shared expenses. She had forged my digital signature using information from our relationship. I pulled my credit report. There it was, a loan in my name that I had never applied for, never signed for, never received a penny from. I sat in my truck staring at this paperwork, seeing our entire relationship through different eyes. How long had she been planning this? How much of her spiritual growth was about accessing my financial resources even after dumping me? I called my lawyer. He said this was straightforward identity theft and loan fraud. We could report it immediately and start getting my name removed. Riley would face serious legal consequences, but then he suggested I could confront her first, give her a chance to come clean and work out an arrangement privately. The old me would have done exactly that. Called her, given her a chance to explain, maybe helped her pay off the loan to avoid drama. But I decided to try something different. I told my lawyer to start the fraud investigation quietly. I wanted to see what happened when official wheels started turning before Riley knew I was aware. Sometimes you have to let people show you who they really are. The investigation moved fast. Within 2 weeks, the bank flagged the loan as potentially fraudulent. Riley got an official notice that her credit was being investigated. That is when my phone started buzzing nonstop. 17 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 30 text messages. The voicemails started confused. I got this weird notice about a loan investigation. I think there is a mistake. By the 10th, she was crying. "Please call me. I don't understand what is happening. I thought we were friends." The last one was angry. "You said we would stay friends. How could you do this to me?" I listened to all of them, then sent one text. "Friends don't commit fraud." Riley update 2. Holy crap. You guys, this situation has gone completely off the rails since my last update. The investigation wrapped up 3 weeks ago. Bank found clear evidence of fraud. Riley had used an old email account of mine, and the digital signature analysis showed it wasn't authentic. My name got removed completely. Bank filed formal fraud report. Riley got hit with identity theft and loan fraud charges. Her lawyer got her a plea deal avoiding jail time, but she had to pay back the full amount immediately, plus penalties. 18 months probation, credit completely destroyed. But that is not the crazy part. After charges were filed, Riley went into damage control mode, started telling everyone I had manipulated the legal system to financially abuse her because I couldn't handle her setting boundaries. She made this Instagram post about men using financial power to punish women who try to leave them. Got shared a bunch. and I was getting nasty messages from people who believed her version. She even started a GoFundMe to recover from financial abuse and legal manipulation, raised about $800 before someone reported it and got it taken down. But Riley wasn't done. Last month, I was working on a kitchen renovation in Mount Pleasant, visible job site right on a main road. My work truck parked out front with business logo clearly visible. I am inside demoing cabinets when I hear someone outside yelling my name. I look out, there is Riley standing next to my truck, absolutely screaming. The family I am working for is in their yard looking terrified. Neighbors coming out to see what is happening. She is yelling about how I ruined her life and destroyed her future, and I am a vindictive coward for hiding behind lawyers. I walked outside. She got in my face, still screaming about elaborate revenge plots because I couldn't handle rejection. The homeowners looked mortified. Their neighbors all watching this woman have a breakdown in front of my work truck, with my business name painted on the side. I stayed calm. Riley, you need to leave. This is private property and you are disrupting my work. That is when she really lost it. I am disrupting your work. You disrupted my entire life. You filed false charges. You lied to the bank. Kept going, getting louder, talking about how I had stolen her future and was going to make sure everyone knows who you really are. Then she said something that perfectly captured her delusion. I loved you. I trusted you. And this is how you repay me for choosing to grow beyond our relationship. I looked at this woman who had committed fraud against me, tried to manipulate our friends, started a fake fundraiser, and was now having a public meltdown at my job site. Riley, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I didn't ruin your life. You just stopped having someone to hide your mistakes behind. She tried to scream something else, but the homeowner had called police. She heard sirens, got in her car and took off, but not before driving past, screaming out her window about how this wasn't over. Here is the crazy part, someone recorded the whole thing. The video ended up on TikTok, then Twitter and Facebook. You can see my truck with business logo, hear Riley screaming about lies and revenge, see me staying completely calm while she falls apart. The video went viral in Charleston. My phone started ringing nonstop, but not with complaints, with people wanting to hire me. Watching me stay professional while someone had a meltdown convinced people I was the contractor they wanted. Video got shared with captions, like "This is how you handle crazy and imagine staying this calm under pressure. My business has exploded. Booked solid for 4 months. Waiting list started. 3 major renovation projects lined up for next year. Riley's public meltdown became the best marketing I have ever gotten. Meanwhile, Tessa told me Riley had to move back with her parents because she couldn't afford the apartment. Her social media basically disappeared because people kept commenting asking if she was the girl from the contractor video. Riley texted me once after the video went viral, "I hope you are happy." I didn't respond, but honestly, yeah, I am happy. Final update. Hey Reddit. Final update on the Riley situation since people keep asking how everything turned out. It has been 10 months since Riley broke up with me to reconnect with her true energy, and 6 months since her public meltdown launched my business. Life has been pretty good. Business is still booming. That viral video continues paying dividends. I am booked through next year and hired 2 part-time guys for bigger projects, making more money than I thought possible with a small renovation business. Tessa and I are officially together now. She moved into my house 3 months ago, and we are talking about buying something together next year. Her photography business is thriving too, shooting weddings now with more bookings than she can handle. It is amazing how different a relationship feels when it is built on actual partnership instead of one person constantly rescuing the other. We split expenses fairly, contribute equally, and solve problems together, instead of one person expecting the other to fix everything. As for Riley, she has been living with her parents in rural North Carolina since she couldn't afford Charleston anymore. Working part-time retail, basically gave up the influencer thing. She tried restarting her online presence with some redemption arc content about learning from mistakes, but it never gained traction. Turns out people don't want life advice from someone whose biggest lesson was, don't commit fraud against your ex. I ran into her sister Harper at a coffee shop last month. Harper's an ER nurse, always seemed level-headed. "I owe you an apology," she said, sitting down. "I knew Riley struggled with money for years, but didn't realize how bad it had gotten or that she was dragging you down. Harper told me Riley had convinced their family I was some financial abuser who manipulated the legal system. It wasn't until Riley moved home and they saw her spending habits firsthand that they understood what really happened. She bought a $1,500 camera with money borrowed from Dad, claiming it was for business. Spent 3 days photographing her breakfast and never touched it again. That is when we realized her version wasn't the whole story. Harper also said Riley tried getting their parents to co-sign car and personal loans to rebuild her credit. Their dad researched it, found out about the fraud charges, and told Riley if she ever forged signatures again, he would report it himself. I think that is when she finally realized she couldn't charm her way out of consequences anymore, Harper said. The conversation really drove home something I had been thinking about. Riley isn't some master manipulator. She is someone who learned she could use charm and emotional manipulation to avoid responsibility, and kept escalating until it became fraud. If I hadn't cut her off when I did, she probably would have kept pushing boundaries until she did something unfixable. Harper said something that stuck with me. You did the right thing walking away. Riley needed consequences for her choices. She needed to learn other people aren't responsible for fixing her problems. She also mentioned Riley tried starting a blog about recovering from toxic relationships and legal trauma, but got no views because people in their small town recognized her from the viral video. She keeps talking about moving somewhere new and starting fresh, but I think she is realizing her problems aren't geographical. 10 months ago, I thought I loved someone who just needed support to get her life together. Turns out I was enabling someone who had no interest in getting it together, as long as someone else managed the consequences. Riley genuinely believed 2 years of dating created permanent obligation for me to subsidize her lifestyle indefinitely, even after she decided she didn't want a relationship. I think about how different my life would be if I had stayed in that pattern. I would probably be broke, stressed, still wondering why nothing I did was ever enough. Instead, I am running a successful business, living with someone who treats me as an equal, finally understanding what healthy boundaries look like. Riley wanted to find out who she really was without anyone else's influence. Turns out who she really is isn't someone who can function independently. Meanwhile, I found out who I am when I stop rescuing people from their own choices. And it turns out I can build a pretty good life when I am not constantly fixing someone else's problems. We both got exactly what we needed, even if only one of us is happy about it. The funny thing is, we are still friends in a way, very different kinds of friends than she thought we would be. She is a cautionary tale about entitlement, and I am a success story about boundaries. You don't always need revenge when someone treats you badly. Sometimes the best response is stepping back and letting them show the world who they really are when nobody's enabling their worst impulses. Riley taught me that lesson better than anyone could have. And for that, I will always be grateful, even if I am grateful from a very safe distance.